Hello, and welcome to a lore full of Destiny, a video lorecast about Destiny lore. Lore. I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Mark.
Lore. This is episode 3, Forces of Darkness.
This is where Alan, who knows Destiny, and I, who am woefully ignorant of much of the story of Destiny, get up to speed in Destiny.
It's a learning experience. We're both learning as we go.
What's a great story?
It's a fantastic story. So this is episode 3. We're going to talk about the various forces of darkness. So the darkness as we know, skipping back a little bit, this is the Traveler, right?
Yeah.
Big ball. He's defending this last city against the darkness.
Well, okay, so the story is humanity was moving along, progressing.
Just fine.
And then this
Traveler comes in and goes, I'm going to help you.
This large ball came. Mm-hmm. It gives us technology.
Yep.
It's basically a miracle worker. Mm-hmm. And it then also, darkness came and killed everybody.
Yes. Yeah, it was the downfall of humanity, yes.
Yeah.
But there were a couple hundred good years there while it was hanging out.
Well worth it.
Fantastic. Okay. So, so in this episode, we are going to look at the forces of darkness.
And just going into this, I'm wondering, is it possible darkness is the good guys?
That's, you're getting into some of the fan theories.
Whoa.
Now.
I mean, I would just say when you have a name that's loaded like darkness, I feel like you're kind of making a very heavy-handed play towards something like that.
Sure. Well, it's a 10-year game, so.
It's got tenure?
It's got tenure. It's a tenured game, yes. Okay, so the Forces of Darkness. Here they are. We got the Fallen.
Sure.
So this is the first force of darkness you meet in the game.
Okay, so when you describe darkness, you made it sound kind of like just a vague disease.
Well, there is a vague disease that then is sort of, manifesting itself in an ability to manipulate beings.
Oh, wait, so that's...
Okay. Or create beings. It's unclear. So the Fallen, I believe they used to be... I gotta pull this up. Destiny, the Fallen. Okay, the Fallen, or get this, Elixni in their native language.
Oh, God.
Elixni.
So, okay.
Say that, Elixni.
Elixni.
The Fallen, known in their own language as the Elixni, are an insectoid alien species that fights against the remnants of humanity, as well as the other races vying for control of the solar system. Notorious scavengers and raiders, the Fallen seek to reclaim the glory of their ancient past by capturing the Traveler.
Great. This is all in our universe.
This is all in... Oh, sure, of course, this is all in our universe. Yeah.
So, as of today, there's no signs of extraterrestrial life.
No.
And this is 700 years in the future.
Well, they're a nomadic race of pirates and scavengers, is what I'm seeing here. Descended from a once great civilization.
I mean, should we believe...
From Destinypedia. Credit Destinypedia.
Would we believe that they live in some very distant part of the universe and that the Traveler...
They first arrived in the solar system after the collapse, which is those dark ages, arriving in their massive ketches, those are big ships, to loot and pillage humanity's former worlds, leaving grief and wreckage in their wake. So they were like...
What are they looking for?
They might just follow the darkness around. That's a possibility, right?
What are they looting? This is an old Russian car lot. This doesn't seem...
They scavenge for subsistence, is what it says here.
And they have spaceships that go faster than light.
Yeah, but they need to scavenge for subsistence.
Okay.
I don't know. There's cool stuff on Earth.
I remember...
There's old military technology here, too, like Rasputin. We're going to talk about that soon.
I remember watching an episode of a show in which aliens come and they start attacking Earth because they are looking for rare minerals. And it turns out the rare mineral they need is silicon because they have, like, spaceships. And it turns out, hey, it's like, we have sand everywhere. Take as much as you want, guys. So it just kind of tells how, like, one man's trash is another man's gold. I believe that was an episode of the 1970s cartoon Super Friends.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, the Fallen might be kind of like that.
I mean, so there might be good stuff in this part.
Well, they're definitely looking for... they find some good stuff in here because they find some ancient technology from the Golden Age here.
I would just say that when you get to the point of fusion, with enough energy, you can transform... Alchemy is possible when you have enough energy, is what I'm getting at.
So you don't need to scavenge?
Yes, you absolutely don't need to scavenge.
Well, these guys scavenge.
Are they kind of dumb or something?
I mean, yeah, they're not super smart.
But they have faster than light travel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the Fallen. You fight the Fallen mostly on Earth. They're all over Earth, right? And so here's what happens. You're fighting the Fallen, right? And they're hanging out. They look like these guys.
They live in the areas of Earth that don't have the aura.
Yes, they live in the rest of Earth. Especially old Russia, though. They love old Russia.
I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We aren't very good creatures as far as being able to fight.
Sure.
We're weak.
Yeah, look at these guys. Much better.
Yeah, they're insectoid. Mm-hmm. But the difference is we are able to build things and progress if we have nature that helps us. And if nature is giving up on us, I'd say we just throw in the towel. I don't see why we continue on.
Well, this whole game is thrown in the towel. But the whole game is about reclaiming the towel after it has already been thrown in.
Huh.
So okay, so here's
your will. You're just
kind of.
You can't choose to die.
Well, that's kind of a commentary on video games, isn't it? It's like, you don't get to choose.
Well, this is like a Buddhist nightmare or something. You can never achieve nirvana. Is that?
Yep. You get revived and you got to fight.
Is this game very popular among Buddhists?
No, they hate it.
Oh no.
Yeah, the Buddha himself actually decried it.
It's one of the games Buddha would not play.
It's one of the games Buddha would not play. Yeah, it's included in that list. Okay, so anyway, so you're fighting the Fallen, right, on Earth, and you're in some caves.
That's a car.
I don't have a picture of the caves.
You moved a laser pointer, pointing at a kind of cave-like looking car, but okay.
No, not these cave cars.
That would be great to save money making a movie. It's just you go cave exploring, but it's just an old car lot.
Okay, so not these cave cars, but different cave cars.
Yeah.
And you're fighting the Fallen, and then what do you happen upon? But
okay, why are you fighting the Fallen?
Because they're scavenging your lands on Earth or something. You want to push them back.
I mean, so the Traveler in the past emanated aura to keep everything away.
Yeah.
And now it's too weak. And it says, I can't do that. But what is a good use of my energy is using my ability to reanimate corpses
so they can go fight
them.
the forces of darkness, including the Fallen.
I mean, I can imagine that if everyone's sat down and thought for a while, they could probably think of better solutions than hand-to-hand combat.
Well, yeah, that's what Rasputin is for, but we'll get to that in the next episode.
Well, it seems like
the one after.
Okay. Right now, this seems like
Rasputin is the only person / thing in this entire game, entire world, who seems to be acting well.
Okay, so this is like
but we'll talk about him in the future.
I'm gonna make an analogy here.
Uh-huh.
Let's say this is like your house. You are the Traveler.
Uh-huh.
And let's say that you have ants infesting your apartment. Mm-hmm. And let's say, how do you do that? Is it good for you to do things like spray chemicals to keep them away, or is it better for you to reanimate other small life forms to fight the ants?
I mean, they're doing what they can.
I would say that I don't think...
Well, but those life forms don't just fight the ants. They also fight other forces, which we'll get to next.
So you think that training a small amount of fighters would possibly be the best use of your time?
They're pretty good fighters, as demonstrated by the game. You kill a lot of the enemies.
Is there super intelligence in this game, or is like...
Yes, we'll get to that with Rasputin.
Okay, I can't wait to get Rasputin.
Rasputin is the absolute highlight of all Destiny lore.
Okay, well, it's a high bar to clear.
Yep, and we will talk about him in a future episode.
How many future episodes?
I believe 2 episodes from now.
Wow.
Yes. Okay, so these are the Fallen, and you're fighting the Fallen on Earth, and what happens is you're down in these caves fighting the Fallen, and you come upon the Hive.
Okay, just going back... They're an insectoid creature, and they're wearing a suit on top of it, right?
Yeah.
Are those its actual... Are we seeing any of its skin, per se? Or is that all suit?
Back here, there's some...
Like its eyeballs. Those eyeballs, or is that like a window?
That's like a window. I think it's pretty much all suit.
Okay.
So, who knows what they look like under there.
Yeah.
Okay. You run into the Hive.
Okay.
And so the Hive are this mystical race.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They seem like the Fallen.
They're not. They're different.
I can imagine if the Fallen took off their suit, they'd look like that.
Yeah.
Because that's just...
That's, hey, now you're getting into these fan theories.
I hope I never to that point.
Okay. They're one of the few races that serve the darkness directly, is the thing with the Hive. So the Hive, it's not just the darkness manipulating their society to you know, in the direction to fight. They're like, we like this darkness a lot. We're going to fight for it.
And at this point right now, should I have to accept the darkness as a real thing, or could it be more of a vibe, a general ethos?
Yeah, it could be like a sort of an emotional state.
Okay.
Yeah. So you find the Hive on Earth, which is weird because the Hive aren't supposed to be on Earth anymore.
What?
Yeah, because...
Well, according to whom?
Well, because you made a deal, humanity made a deal with the Hive and said, kind of made a deal. Basically said, take the moon. The moon is yours.
What? Why? Why does everyone go to Earth? If they were able to evolve in their part of the universe, I'm sure they are going to be happy there. I don't know. For some reason they want to exist in the solar system. And so property, baby.
Yeah. So anyway, so they were definitely pushing hard on humanity. And so we said, all right, moon is yours. We're gone from the moon. We abandoned the moon. The Hive took over the moon.
And a low bar to clear is to be as good as the moon. The moon is not, of all planets in the universe, I'm sure about half are better than the moon.
The Hive really like it, though. They build all these underground tunnels and all sorts of stuff like that.
Why? That's just so stupid. They wanted to live on the moon.
They seem to like it there.
Big universe, but this small rock outside of Earth. Love it, baby. It's so stupid.
Okay.
Do they not even like any explanation why they like it so much?
Well, they build a bunch of caves beneath the surface of the moon.
That's not why they like it. They didn't build it because they built caves. They built caves because they like it.
No, I don't know of an explanation of why they were so fond of the moon.
I mean, I would say the proximity to Earth would be really one of the very few things that distinguish.
Well, I think they're definitely mounting an incursion into Earth. That's definitely, I mean, that's a plot point of the game, is that the Hive are trying to wipe out humanity.
So they're
using the moon as a staging area, which we willingly gave to them.
Their love for the moon is completely disingenuous.
Yes. They convinced humanity that all they really wanted was this moon thing.
Yeah, big moon heads.
Yeah, big moon heads. And so they we took them at their word and said, "All right, if that's all you want, you got
Makes
it."
Sense.
Yeah,
we completely get you.
And then, of course, what they end up doing is turning the moon into a large,
fort.
Militarized, staging point with which to launch their incursion onto Earth.
I would call it a fort. You could also call it a militarized, fortified staging area.
So early in the game, though, you find them on Earth, and that triggers a whole set of warnings, because it's like, oh, whoa. They're on Earth. They're not supposed to be here. They're supposed to be on the moon.
What?
Yeah. And so then you go back to the city and you tell everyone and you try and raise an alarm about it, and then no one seems to really care that much.
Well, I mean, in general, it seems like we don't do a great job of patrolling everything, and then we're stuck in one city.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we have limited capacity. We're just using dead people.
I mean, I would say that I would have assumed. I mean, this is like saying that I moved a bunch of ants to a different city, and then somehow they crawl back towards my city later.
Sure.
It's like I should assume this is going to happen. I'd say if we're only in one city,
again, humanity. No one seems to be acting in an effective way, except for Rasputin, who we'll get to.
Should we talk about character design at any point, or is that not really?
Well, if it relates to the lore.
Well, what's going on with that metal pin in his elbow?
In his elbow.
Yeah.
This?
Yeah.
I think he got stabbed. Here
through
here.
Through the bone?
He got stabbed here, and he's still kicking.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that looks like maybe just the way his elbow functions, like it's a hinge.
No, I think he got stabbed.
That's a clean stab.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't really bleed.
Yeah.
They more just have dust.
Huh. So
Yeah.
probably start leaking, though.
3 eyes, very distinctive feature.
Very distinctive.
Yep. If you look at them just the right way in this picture, they glow.
That's when they always glow.
No, they like kind of fade in and out.
Oh, okay. We say not in this picture. In this picture, they're always.
No, in this picture, just look at them kind of the right way.
I'm moving my head around. It's always glowing.
Yeah, but it kind of, if you move your head the right way, it looks like it's kind of glowing a little bit. It's a trick of the eyes.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, so here's the deal with the Hive. The Hive are an impossibly ancient race that has kept themselves alive on sarcophagus-like tomb ships.
Who wrote the phrase "impossibly ancient"?
It's a quote. It's in quotes in this article.
Oh, so this isn't. I have not a bad Wikipedia editor to blame. I have the creators of the game to blame.
Yes.
Okay.
The Hive delve deep into a planetoid. See, delve deep. They like burrowing.
Okay, so they're impossibly ancient, and they live in sarcophagi.
Sarcophagus-like tomb ships. They live in tomb ships.
Oh, a tomb ship. I know what that
ships.
is. Well,
They
is that like a hearse is to a car as a spaceship is to a tomb ship?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The Hive delve deep into a planetoid, unheeding of the damage they do in the process, crafting linked caverns and Gothic-looking columns. Their underground spaces are like a dungeon that has only recently been pulled up from too long underwater. Interesting.
So they're kind of like ants.
That part's not in quotes. They are able to maintain the physical world in ways humanity can only begin to imagine, and have witnessed the darkness consume countless worlds in the past. The Hive are not an enemy military so much as a rising force. They base their entire existence around the extermination of other forms of life, especially those that follow the way of the light and the traveler, and approach their task with religious fervor. To the Hive, killing and conquest are not merely acts of war, but of worship. Yeah. At the time of the game, they have burrowed deep into the moon, staying there for centuries while growing stronger. The Guardian's ghost states that he believed the Hive to be contained on the moon for centuries, but the player first encounters them in Old Russia underneath the Skywatch, where the Fallen have attempted to seal them away.
Actually, I only find one thing in this entire story surprising.
Yeah.
Which is that we conducted diplomacy with these people.
Um,
Because I'd say everything you're describing of the way the Hive conduct themselves seem like they're completely inickable to diplomacy.
Yeah, it was less of a diplomacy thing and more just of they were taking the moon pretty quickly, and so we just got out of there.
So earlier you said we allowed them to live on the moon.
Yeah,
Instead,
we didn't try and fight them back on the moon.
I mean, in other words, they took over the moon.
They took over the moon, yes.
Okay, and then we just hoped that they'd stay away.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, you made it sound like it was a diplomatic.
Well, it was kind of a
agreement.
diplomatic thing in that it was they didn't sign any agreements.
Yeah, I mean, they seem like they're of a somewhat intelligent race, but with very different morals to us. I can buy this.
Yeah,
I can buy this.
Okay, that's the Hive.
Okay.
Next up, the Vex. So the Vex are robots.
The Vex are robots, sure.
So here's some slightly less humanoid robots.
I would still describe that as extremely humanoid.
Okay. Nice thing about the Vex, they have this little red thing here. They also got, this is not shown in this image, they usually have like a red thing in their chest here. Okay. And you shoot either of those red things and it does massive damage.
That is great.
Yeah. Okay. The Vex are a race of transtemporal cybernetic beings.
Can you repeat that?
Transtemporal cybernetic beings.
So they are cybernetic beings.
And they cross time.
I am... okay, so are they true robots or are they cyborgs?
Well, what's the difference?
I'd say that there is something that is non-materialistic called life. Like, we cannot say that life is just interactions of materials. There's something special.
There's
that makes
some
something
special
alive.
stardust there.
Yeah, whereas machines are just non-alive things.
Well, isn't that self-consciousness?
Well, I guess that's the question. Like, if you create a computer program sophisticated enough, it will pass the Turing test.
Sure.
Does that mean it is alive?
Well, now we're getting into some bigger questions than Destiny here.
I'd say Destiny is probably the biggest question.
Destiny is a big question.
We're talking a lot about robots, and that's the question. Are they alive? Do they suffer? Is there something it is like to be like them?
Right. Yeah, and I don't know. The Vex are kind of the Vex are an enigma.
Because it seems like so far the only completely material robots that are confirmed are the janitors.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I could imagine that, yeah, I can. They seem like that's a task you would want a non-conscious being to do. But I still don't understand why it's so humanoid. Okay. Continue.
So, the Vex are encountered on Venus, where they have built the Citadel and the Vault of Glass, and Mars, where they guard the entrance portal to the mysterious Black Garden, which is where the game's final boss, the final battle takes place in the game.
In 10 years?
The original game.
Oh, in the original.
In the original. The Vex have also completely transformed Mercury into a machine, but have mysteriously withdrawn from that world.
Well, okay.
This is a detail I'd not heard this detail before. This is actually new to me.
I mean, everything is a machine if it's the right way.
I mean, but like a robotic machine, I'm guessing.
Okay. Like, is that like making something like into like steampunk by putting like a couple gears on it?
I don't know.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So Vex are incredibly old.
Are they impossibly ancient?
Vex architecture was placed on Venus a few billion years before humanity's existence.
That's stupid.
So the Vex have been on Venus since before humanity
and we have not.
That's crazy.
We've not detected them.
No.
How do we not detect these guys on Venus?
The researchers suspected that the Vex ruins come from an alternate Venus and came into being when the Traveler transformed Venus into a habitable world.
What?
Because they crossed across time, I guess?
So you're introducing alternate dimensions at this point.
I guess. We transformed Venus into a habitable world, or the Traveler did, and then all of a sudden, the Vex from this different time dimension ported into the modern Venus.
How much do alternate dimensions play into this game?
Well, with the Vex quite a bit, because the Black Garden itself is kind of an alternate dimension thing.
Well, let's talk about alternate dimensions.
Sure. Oh, you asked earlier about, in a previous episode, you asked about whether there's any straight up magic.
Well, I mean, alternate dimensions aren't really magic. They just really are unconfirmed hypotheses about how everything works. So we live in a multiverse is posited here.
That does seem to be posited, yes.
And there are beings who have abilities to move between universes.
These beings seem to be able to move certainly between the Black Garden and our universe.
So there might only be two universes?
Possibly.
That's kind of stupid.
They also seem to be able to move through, like, they kind of warp. Like, when one of these is running towards you, it'll, like, be in one place, and it'll kind of, teleport, basically. It'll, like, kind of dematerialize and then materialize in another place. So they seem to be able to do that.
That seems... Yeah, you'd hope so. I mean, imagine if you were a two-dimensional figure, and then you're fighting a three-dimensional figure.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a chance. They would just walk out of your dimension, and they would just destroy you.
Yeah.
Having the ability of the Vex, I would say that it doesn't make any sense we'd have any ability to fight them.
I mean, they're a formidable foe.
No, they're clearly at a completely different level of magnitude above us.
Sure.
I mean, there's no way we should be able to fight the Vex.
Well, but they do. You can shoot them.
Well, yeah, but they can leave dimensions.
Yeah, but you can shoot them real good.
Okay.
The Vex are capable of generating simulations of real-world events with perfect fidelity and predictive ability, essentially running a parallel reality in their minds, which is arguably indistinguishable from the real universe.
Does this mean they can just, like, create...
Well, they can simulate anything. This ability appears to be limited only to ordinary phenomena, as the Vex are apparently unable to simulate complex phenomena that is linked to a paracausal power. This includes Guardians and Oryx.
Let's break that down.
Okay, so they're able to simulate normal things,
like a ramp or a screw or a lever,
right? But they're not able to simulate basically like human action and thought.
Okay,
because those are paracausal powers. Let's look up paracausal.
So, okay. I mean, I would say of all of
acausal versus paracausal. This is on this is on the Destiny Reddit.
So this confirms.
Okay. I'm gonna put this on screen.
It's confirmed paracausal is not a real philosophical concept. Is that true?
There was a physics wiki that was there too, but
Okay.
here's some good text. Okay.
What is the Book of Sorrow?
In my opinion, one of the most interesting pieces of the Books of Sorrow was the conflict between Kuri and Oryx.
What is Books of Sorrow?
I don't. Some Destiny books, presumably. Two words that have been used in the lore and in conversations about the lore are acausal and paracausal. Some arguments have used these words interchangeably, but I think there's a more important distinction to be drawn between the two. Okay. An acausal system is well defined, but a hypothetical system where the output is governed at some level by future inputs.
Skip to the next paragraph.
Okay. Paracausal, as the word is constructed, could have many meanings. The best meaning as it applies to Destiny, I believe, is apart from causality, beyond causality, as noted by U. Cafecito 820.
He's the Samuel Johnson of our day.
Okay. Extrapolation 1.
This is nonsense.
Thanks, U. Cafecito 820.
He must have
That thought ought to both thrill and terrify us.
Yes, I mean, they are a being who has a connection to the universe and power far beyond us. It doesn't make any sense that we're on the same level here.
Okay. So they're very powerful.
I mean, this is like saying there are
Clearly
orders of magnitude more powerful. Their only weakness is they have a giant weak spot in the front that they completely fail to shield.
Oh boy, do they have a giant weak spot though.
So are they dumb? Is that the thing? They're very powerful but very dumb?
I mean, they definitely don't protect that weak spot.
This whole thing makes me angry.
Okay, well that's the Vex. Robots. Good
Cyborgs.
stuff. Okay. Then we have the Cabal. Bring up the article here. The Cabal are a race with a heavy-set rhinoceros-like appearance.
Not really.
They are an industrial, militaristic empire that spreads through organization, efficiency, and corruption, and their occupation of Mars is just a small part of it. Few Guardians have encountered Cabal and lived to tell the tale. That is totally inaccurate. Just pretty much everyone encounters Cabal. It's part of the game. On every front, they have been found to have already dug in and fortified their installations with razor wire. That was a weird detail to include in the first paragraph.
Well, I mean, that's pretty wacky. I mean, defensing with razor wire.
So basically, the Cabal, it's a different species. They're not just big humans. So that's something.
Well, a lot of things are different species you showed so far.
Yeah. Well, no, just I mean, it's like they're very humanoid. They look like big humans, but they're not.
That's everything looks humanoid because there's not a lot of imagination here.
Okay. They're very tough guy, like military troop.
But they have a tender side.
They may. Highly militarized and violent species known for their heavy armor and weapons. They will defend their territory until every last one of them is dead.
Okay, so question 1 is, does everything under the movement of darkness get along with each other?
No, the Cabal fight the Vex in fact, the Cabal fight everyone else all the time.
But how did they ever, how do they get to the point they're right around here? It sounds like, what's the moon guys again?
Well, the Cabal arrived in the solar system at some point following the collapse. Encountering no meaningful opposition, they established a beachhead at Phobos. This whole thing about using moons as staging facilities seems to be a persistent theme.
So they're able to move around the universe, but then everyone gets to their other planets and this is pretty much safe. It sounds like the moon guys, what's their name again?
The Hive?
The Hive, they want to exterminate all other life. Why aren't they exterminating the Cabal and
Oh, they are. They're trying. Everyone is fighting everyone. Well, the Cabal are definitely fighting the Hive.
In equilibrium? I doubt it. It doesn't seem.
The Cabal are pretty strong.
It does not seem possible that they would be fighting on and on for an impossibly long amount of time, and they still.
I mean, it's only a couple hundred years.
What do you mean a couple hundred years? Oh, they're like all of the universe fighting each other for a long time.
Well, I mean, the Cabal.
I mean, the Vex has been on Venus for 1 billion years.
That's true, yeah, but they haven't been fighting until recently.
So, you're saying at some point that they used to have, with not enough technology, they used to be at the point that they would just be in different areas of the universe.
I mean, we don't know. But
I mean, okay, we're just hypothesizing.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like the Vex had a history of warfare. It was just that they, for some reason now, I don't know, don't want humans around.
Okay.
Or anyone else, for that matter.
I mean, it says, okay, of all things, can we get along with them? The Hive seems like a non-starter.
Yeah, the Hive. The Hive are, these guys are going to kill us no matter what we do.
The first guys.
The Fallen, there are several friendly Fallen you meet and talk to.
I mean, the Fallen seem like a lesser race in general.
Used to be, well, they used to be a pretty high-minded, like progressive race, I think.
Yeah.
Or like well-developed race, but they kind of devolved. Was the sort of
okay.
Yeah. But there are Fallen. There are like the Shax, who we may talk about in a future episode, is a Fallen.
Shazam?
Shax.
Kazam.
Yes. There are Fallen that you interact with and that, help out in the tower and all that sort of stuff. So they're not all bad.
Okay, so that would answer the question of how do these people who have these societies that don't seem to have a really aspirational nature, how do they ever develop technology? And what you're saying is they developed it when they were more progressive, and now they're kind of resting on the technology and just doing...
Which is actually kind of what humanity's doing too, right? It's not like we're developing new technology. It's,
Well, I mean, you see that in the past. Like, you look at H.G. Wells' Things to Come, and there's a point where humanity collapses, and people are living in, like, ancient Roman areas, and they're just kind of like... They have guns, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. They live in an age... Like, it's a dark age.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So, sure.
Fallen we could probably get along with if we tried.
It seems hard to believe that they still would have functional spaceships and stuff, because it seems like it takes a lot of institutional knowledge to keep things going.
Maybe they're pretty good spaceships. They kind of run themselves.
Maybe, yeah, they must have built great spaceships. Yeah, those guys seems like we should actually work with them.
Oh, yeah. Seems like we should totally be allying and working with the Fallen.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Hive, no way.
The Hive has a very incompatible morality. Let's just say it.
Yep. In that they want to destroy us and everyone else, yes.
Yes.
The Vex, unclear.
I mean, the Vex seem like they're almost godlike in their powers.
Sure.
Which is to say, you'd hope to work with them. If God wants... that's your only hope.
The offer's on the table.
I mean, at the very least, we shouldn't be provoking them.
No, we should not.
Yeah.
No, we probably should stop shooting their red spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's the Vex. And the Cabal...
The Cabal are just dumb thugs.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be hard to work with them.
I mean, well, what's their whole deal? They just want to have civilizations? They seem like they're very primitive. They actually... They explored the universe with their level of primitivity?
Well, they arrived in the solar system, so...
I doubt it.
The Cabal have, in the long years since, the Cabal has steadily advanced in the face of withering attacks. I think they're kind of like, they probably, have stolen technology from other groups, is my guess.
Yeah.
Goals. There's a section on goals.
The Dream Journal?
Well, while the Cabal are clearly a militaristic race with a penchant for conquest, as evidenced by the existence of the Scion client race, their exact motivation for coming to the solar system is unclear. They have an apparent fascination with the Vex and Vex technology, as evidenced by their heavy presence at Vex sites across Mars.
Well, Vex just wipe them out. That's
the Cabal also sent an expedition to Mercury to investigate a Vex structure known as Vertigo, but the members of that expedition have since disappeared without a trace. The Cabal are capable of very extreme tactics in the name of the Empire, from leveling entire planets for being in the way to threatening to blow up the Dreadnought's power core, which would take half the solar system with it. Cade 6 considers the Cabal to be war criminals. It's suspected that for all their ferocity, however, the Cabal are secretly running away from something terrifyingly powerful, possibly the darkness itself.
Okay,
So that's interesting, that they're kind of just driven to desperation, and all they know is war, and so they're just, aggressing everyone in an attempt to get away.
they don't seem like they do a lot of introspection.
No, not really.
Wait, so who is that? Who called them war criminals?
Cade 6, that was Nathan Fillion. The remember the camp counselor in the tower.
Yeah, it sounds like what he calls as war criminals is that's like the equivalent of what your uncle calls a war criminal. I don't really see that mattering much.
Sure.
There's no real.
Well, he's a wise voice.
I mean, your uncle might be wise, but it's not binding.
Sure. Any physical differentiation between sexes has yet to be investigated.
Oh, that sounds sexy. How erotic is the game?
Not very.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. So you talk about all these different species.
Yes.
The Vex, the Cabal, the Hive, the Fallen. And you say, hey, do you support the darkness? And they'd all say yes?
I think the Fallen would say the darkness is useful to help with our scavenging, right? Because they follow the darkness around and scavenge the worlds that the darkness, kills, right?
I mean, it sounds like that's a really bad flow of logic.
The Hive are like, yeah, the darkness is the best thing ever. We love the darkness.
I mean, and I'll say again, I'm not really sure the darkness is a thing.
Right, yeah. Well, it seems to be mostly operating through the Hive.
I can imagine,
the Hive seem to be its main on-the-ground forces.
Yeah, it's like saying the fascism followed the Nazis. It's because, it's really only an ideology.
Sure. The Vex are not really associated with the darkness.
Are they are they shown to really think much, or
not really? No.
I mean, they're on a completely different plane of reality, really.
Yeah, I think they're kind of they're just kind of tripping out all the time, I think.
Yeah.
And the Cabal, so I don't think the Cabal would say that. I mean, I think the Cabal might be running away from the darkness. So really, the only true darkness supporters here are the Hive. But these are all collectively referred to as the forces of darkness because you kill them all.
Kind of like the Axis of Evil.
Yes. Yeah, it was, 4 countries.
That's
4 races, 4 countries. No, it was 4. Axis of Evil?
I would say 3, but you can say 4.
It was 4. No, because it's an axis. It's 2. There's there's an x-axis and a y-axis, and you've got one in each quadrant.
That's not really.
You got North Korea.
Yes.
Iraq.
Yes.
Afghanistan.
Nope.
Iran.
Yes.
Afghanistan.
Nope.
Okay. Well, the Hive, the Vex, the Cabal.
Is that
the
really
Fallen.
it? Or is
That's
it.
It. No, that's it. That's. Oh wait. Oh, there's a surprise edition. Right. So, so in some of the more recently released content, there's a new force, a new race being introduced.
I mean, there's billions of species on Earth, but only one intelligent species at the level of humanity.
Yes.
So the idea is for every planet, there's a few civilizations. And one dominates.
Seems to be.
I just don't understand why the Cabal wouldn't be wiped out by the Hive by now. The Hive should be taking over these guys, no problem.
Well, the Cabal are feisty. The Vex are multidimensional. The Fallen are scrappy.
So yeah, they're all not great at what they do.
No, they're not. Okay. Then we have the Taken, and so the Taken, you might recognize some familiar attributes here.
In that it's stolen from the movie Predator.
So the Taken are actually, they can be so this is, I believe, a Fallen turned Taken. They're actually the Taken are formed from a bunch of different races. So the Taken are basically corrupted versions of all 4 of the other races.
So you're telling me that all those creatures you've been seeing, off screen, they're all having sex with each other?
No. The Taken are created specifically by an evil force.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Oryx, by Oryx.
Or we'll get to about that in a later episode?
Yeah, or I think we're talking about Oryx and the sword and the moon and Crota.
Yes, Oryx and the sword and the moon and Crota.
Oryx and the moon and the sword and the Crota. The Crota quota. This game has a high Crota quota. Okay, so the Taken are the personal army of Oryx, the Taken King. The Taken are formed from the ranks of the other enemy races in the game. They are ripped out of our dimension and then sent back, wholly possessed by the darkness, and have been twisted and corrupted mind and body by Oryx's power.
I need to know a lot more about Oryx. To make sense of
Well, Oryx is the Taken King.
So is there anything more to know about this, or is this just all...
Oh, there's a whole history to Oryx. I mean,
I feel this needs...
you want to get into Oryx, there's so much. Oryx is like one of the main enemies of the game.
This needs a separate episode.
So, okay, well, but there is, I mean, this is one of the forces of the darkness, though, are the Taken.
But, okay, so takeaway here.
Yeah.
Takeaway for all of this, before we get more into Oryx in a future episode.
Sure.
Is, in likelihood, it seems likely we're the only real intelligent life in the universe. I mean, it's like in our reality, because how would people coexist in the universe?
Oh, you mean in real world?
Yeah, sure.
And I would non-Destiny.
Yeah, and it seems like if there were different lives, they would be so different than us, and they'd have such a different level of intelligence or whatever that it seems impossible that we'd be on an equal footing to fight in any possibility.
Sure.
The idea that we would be
It's very unlikely you'd have two identically developed, or like two races or two species that developed in a, in a similar enough way to be on the same plane of combat. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then on top of that, is it likely that we would have robotic intelligence that would not... reach level super intelligence? I found that also surprising.
Well, we're going to talk about super intelligence pretty soon here.
Great.
Okay. Talking about Rasputin. Okay, so yeah, those are so there are 5 now. There were 4 originals: the Fallen, the Hive, the Vex, and the Cabal, and then introduced in recent patches are the Taken. So
great. So does the game feature much diplomatic outreach to the Fallen?
No, I wish it featured more.
Yeah, how much of the game is diplomacy?
About 1%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could be more.
Yeah, could be a little more. All right, so those are the Forces of Darkness. Next time, we will have the Ghost.
Great.
This has been A Lore Full of Destiny.